This message might be a little triggering for some of you. I'm going to be unpacking some things, and it may sound like I'm throwing shade. It may sound like I'm bitter and being disrespectful about it, but that's not the intention. And it has never been the intention with anything that I've said. And as long as I'm doing this, that will never be the intention. If you don't have the mental or the emotional capacity to hold space for this right now, then you can click away. It'll be here when you're ready. But if you are ready in this moment, we can have a real conversation about some things. First thought, I run a very tight ship and a strict program because I'm soft and sensitive when it comes down to it. And when I share my insights, it's hit or miss. The loopholes open, visibility increases, and in the moment my sharpness arrives, then the field braces itself, and people expect me to soften and flatten and make the truth more comfortable so they can receive it without discomfort. But I won't. I don't. I've been through way too much on this journey to comply with that pattern anymore. And so as a result, the loophole normally closes. The visibility loophole. You see, most of you who consume content, watch videos, read books, aren't paying attention to how you are contributing to what I mean here. So let's unpack this. Let's start with the news feed. The news feed is designed around cause and effect psychology. For every confusing thing, there is an equal clarifying thing. In other words, for every bad thing, there's an equal good thing. It's controlled visibility, operating like it's fluid. And this applies offline as well when you're paying attention. You see, the news feed is a feedback mechanism. You feed it your attention and you get back what your attention fed into the most. It doesn't just mirror what you deeply desire to understand you. It mirrors what it assumes you desire based on your digital footprint, regardless of how public or private it is, while prioritizing contradictions to confuse you. Sit with that. Every time a new platform emerges, the same tactic operates. It feels like the perfect algorithm, the perfect space, and then popularity grows, and then the contradictions become obvious. Troll and spam bots arrive. Bot-primed humans who troll and spam arrive. Clarity gets distorted, whether the trolling and spamming are good or bad. That's a psychological twist, because positive trolls are still offering contradiction, even if it's well-meaning. In other words, someone could be agreeing and supporting you, but it's from a misinterpretation of what you stand for. It's good, but it's a contradiction. And if you are not emotionally grounded and clear about what you stand for, you feed into it. And most people aren't grounded or internally clear like that. Most people are still locked into controlled time systems, still locked into 24-hour day hustle and bustle, still participating in their own amnesia, and existential amnesia. Most of you don't remember half of what you scroll and consume in a 24-hour period. That's your proof. You see, every social media platform shows the same pattern. And it's people's inability to humanize their own discomfort, dysfunction, and dysregulation. Every other post you see, someone is blaming, analyzing, joking, or making light of the dysfunction. Blaming the algorithm, blaming God, blaming the devil, blaming the tarot cards, blaming the stars, blaming their trauma, blaming themselves. And when you blame, you are extracting energy from your actual internal work. Discomfort, dysfunction, dysregulation that can't be blamed, analyzed, or fixed is terrifying for a lot of you. It means the survival mind has to sit with it, feel it, Process it. Let it be what it is without making a constant fuss about it. And most people aren't willing to do that yet, if at all. But here's the gag. Nobody cares if you haven't been taught emotional regulation or conflict resolution. When you become aware that it's your responsibility to update your own software, that's when the change happens. Blame whoever you need to blame, but at a certain point, you must commit to showing up differently. You have access to somatic and cognitive tools around you everywhere. Nervous system literacy, helplines, hotlines, people who are freely giving you access constantly. Utilize them to meet the parts of yourself that you know you're avoiding, and even your blind sides. This is how clarity gets embodied. And embodied clarity is what allows people whose internal codes are aligned to actually merge properly. Otherwise, you end up in spaces where clean connections do form, but the mergers don't. Because people are still blinded by moralized frameworks, they're dysregulated, still blinded by the blame game, still blinded by aspirations of fitting into the time system, into social networks, into influencer culture, or let's flip it. They're still forcing contradictions of the system down people's throats while not being grounded themselves in their own clarity of the contradictions. And then you perpetuate the very thing that you're against. Breathe with that. When sharp awareness shows up on this planet, you beat these people up. You ostracize them. You demand that they soften themselves, that they dilute themselves. And when their bodies can't take too much more of it, they disengage or they become martyrs. And then finally, the message gets released because the palate is softer. But why is that? Because grief makes y'all more open to the sharp edges of reality, but it still doesn't get resolved, and clarity still doesn't get embodied. Because guess what you're doing? You're not doing this in the moment that it needs to be done. You're doing it in retrospect. You're doing it in memoriam, a way that turns grief into a spectacle. But hardly ever in the thick of an anger spell, in the thick of a depression spell, in the thick of an anxiety attack. You treat negative emotions like they're plagues, like they're something you're not supposed to experience. But they're the very thing that you need to experience so you can feel the sharp edges and not look at them as threats or danger zones or prices that you have to pay. And the paradox here is that once you allow yourself to be disoriented, to feel paralyzed, to allow yourself to crash and burn, that's when you experience the softness in the truth. That's when you experience the safety in the clarity. Not the comfortable lie, not the comfortable delay, just the immediate truth. Your truth. But see, you prolong an already prolonged delay by coddling to your avoidance of it, by coddling to the mishandling of your time, your attention, and your energy. And when someone like me comes along, highlighting the mishandling, highlighting the slippery parts and the stickiness we're all in, then you go in fight mode, roast mode, joke mode, condescending, and just nasty. And all of these things become distraction tools, distortion tools. And then we all end up repeating the same thing over and over and again. And many of you are expecting a different result from that, not knowing that we're all participating in our own demise, participating in our own amnesia, participating in our own fall because we won't want to float in the disorientation of our own individual truth. You see, floating in the disorientation of your own truth allows you to be intentional about where you are creating gravity. It allows you to collaborate with yourself first and most of all. And when you commit to doing that, the components coded to collaborate with you externally start to activate. But y'all keep doing it the other way around. You're collaborating with other people who are mishandling their own time and their own energy, and then you think that's intentional. And yes, it is a form of intentionality, but it's serving the survival mind and avoidance until you flip it, until you get immediately honest with yourself first, until you take responsibility for your own self, not just logically, but emotionally and behaviorally. That's when this starts working. And it's working in little ways now, but more of you need to see this so the bars of visibility can actually drop and dissolve so that clarity can be sustainable on this planet. I speak, I write, I sing, I write essays, I have books. I've created an entire archive here, and an archive for when or if the field and many more of you that are coded to understand this actually walk directly into your own truth. And when you're able to feel the sharp edges of your own reality, then the external components, the external parameters will build infrastructure to ground everybody who's presenting information like this. Not just glimpses of it, not just morsels of it, but an actual flow and overflow. But until then, visibility is controlled, but it's also fluid. I'm not looking to be famous. I'm looking to exist and sustain myself in the truth that I'm holding here. But when it's constantly blocked by the behavior in the field, blindsided by other creators who gain more visibility and support, often using my insights, it becomes a burden. I'm the one who gets seen in glimpses and heard in morsels, so then I have to freestyle, wait, observe, and see what opens. So that when an opening comes, then I get people asking, well, Joseph, where have you been? I've been hiding in plain sight, in between the spaces of contradiction and survival, hustle and bustle. And everything that I have, from the stories, the information, the essays, and even the music, is waiting for the moment that the field decides to float intentionally in proportional coherence instead of disproportional survival. And that moment is here. Not because I've personally manifested it, but because the sharper many more of you get about your own mishandling, the sharper the field becomes. And eventually, sharp becomes sustainable. And eventually, immediate honesty becomes home base. That's it for now. If you made it this far in the video and it all lands well for you, you are the sign that the field is reorganizing itself to hold more clarity and coherence. And if you're interested in any of my resources, please visit my link tree in the caption. I'm going to love and let go for now, but in the meantime and in between time, please be kind and be gentle with yourselves as I do the same. See you in the next video.